Hi, my name is Rachel Ringgold, and my internship site this summer was Mighty Writers, which is an educational nonprofit that works to combat the illiteracy problem in South Philadelphia. I learned and grew so much being at Mighty Writers this summer, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if it weren't for all the amazing people that I met. So this is for them. Nia and Tamaya, shown here, were two of the shyest students in my summer yoga class this summer. Even though I always tried to get them to participate, neither of them ever raised their hand to offer an answer or assert their voice or seem confident in what they were saying. But on the last day of class, they surprised me and taught me something really important. That day, the lesson included a short review of the parts of speech. So we were talking nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. And I asked the first question, and I saw both of their hands go in the air. And after I recovered from a little heart attack, I called on Tamaya, who promptly, if quietly, gave me the correct answer. And it continued throughout that part of the lesson, and I was pleasantly surprised by their active participation. But it wasn't until afterward, until I realized why and what I'd been doing wrong all along. These questions that I was asking them were right or wrong questions, and my other learners like Paige, Naima, and Zach responded better to open-ended questions such as, what does it mean to endorse something? Or tell me about the best day you can remember. But to these girls, that uncertainty was intimidating. So those questions I asked on that last day provided them with more solid ground. They knew for sure what a noun was, so they could access that knowledge and then present it to us with certainty. So these were facts, not abstracts, and they felt confident in those. And I learned another type of differentiation from this. Not only do I need to differentiate the difficulty or the development level of the material in each lesson, but I also need to vary the types of questions that I'm asking. If I include fact questions, hypotheticals, yes or no questions, and abstracts, then I'm able to reach more students and let them all feel comfortable speaking in class. My mentor, Dr. Tammy Milby, who's here tonight, introduced me to a lot of great books and articles on writing instruction, including Zumbrin and Krause's article, Conversations with Leaders, Principles of Effective Writing Instruction. This piece outlines the traits of effective writing instruction in practice, and one point states that effective writing instruction begins with clear and deliberate planning, but is also flexible. This resonated really clearly with my relationship with Nia and Tamaya because I realized that even though I had planned carefully my lesson, I hadn't been flexible enough in the ways I questioned the students. And another great resource was Ray and Laminak's The Writing Workshop, Working Through the Hard Parts, and they're all hard parts. States, students need to learn how to share their own ideas and listen to the ideas of others, ask important questions, learn from other writers, and teach other writers what they know. So I needed to change my questioning strategies to open up the floor to accommodate these students so that they could have a role in the class and share their knowledge with the other writers. So thank you, Nia and Tamaya, for showing me what I can do better. The first time I met Julian, he wouldn't sit still, he wouldn't do any of the yoga, he continuously was flopping around the floor, neglecting to do anything that he was told. And so from that moment on, I used all my patience on him, but he definitely tested me. Each workshop, he would either refuse to write or write something in defiance. For example, I told him one day to write the first line of a haiku, and we had talked about the number of syllables that entailed, which is 5. And he wrote, it. So I had to learn how to be calm with him, to prompt him with something, really anything, until I saw the tiniest light go on in his eye and then continue slowly, step by step, into the guts of the work with him. He had no self-motivation to write, but I know that he will acquire that in time. And as much as he pushed me, I was always unbelievably happy to see him every Sunday. I wanted him to be there, being social with the other kids, and getting his ideas into the air at least, if not quite yet on paper. And I look forward to him because he was definitely a challenge for me. In the end, I figured out that I just couldn't allow him to cop out. If I kept encouraging him and didn't let him say no or not do the assignment, he eventually would give me something concrete. Another principle of effective writing instruction is that it encourages student motivation and engagement. And Ray and Laminak posed the question, what do I do if a student won't write? Which Julian definitely showed me. Then they offer the advice, one key is a strong presence. As we work out there among the writers, we must make sure that we show in all our actions and interactions that we expect them to be involved in some kind of writing work. And that proved true. It was all about my expectations of Julian and then how he rose to meet those. So thank you, Julian. for expanding my patience and endurance to boundless new levels. And this is Cheryl. Cheryl said something to me one day that she probably doesn't remember or realize, but that sticks into my memory to this day. We were walking up the stairs at Mighty Writers, and she was telling me about herself, and she's chatting away. She goes, "I like cheerleading, and I live just down the street, and I'm a mighty writer." So she defined herself in these words with this place, these people, and this name as something that was so close to her that it was part of her identity. And she showed me the importance of the brand that is Mighty Writers. And it's become such an established organization there in Philly that has transformed into something bigger than itself, an intangible identity that can belong to someone, and that definitely belongs to these kids. Ray and Lamanek wrote, "Students are going to be people who write, and over time, they are going to develop identities related to writing and come to know themselves in that way." And Cheryl had definitely has come to know herself as a writer, and specifically as a writer in this organization. So thank you, Cheryl, for showing me who a Mighty Writer truly is. And this brings me to my last thank you, which is to Mighty Writers as a whole. This internship helped me rediscover my appreciation for writing. That may sound like an obvious statement, but it's invaluable to me. I think my life has been so busy over the past 4 years that I'd forgotten how, when, why, or what to write outside of the structure of my English literature classes. But this internship reminded me of the expression, communication, and the freedom that writing allows. I could pen the beginnings of a novel on a rainy weekend, or a poem on the back of my notebook in class, or a note to my roommates on the fridge one morning. But Mighty Writers remind me to write something, anything, every day. I also became comfortable doing free writes on the whiteboard in front of the students. They would prompt me and give me ideas, and then I would structure it and model it for them. And I definitely made my fair share of errors and had moments of writer's block along the way, or would spell something wrong and they'd say, "Miss Rachel." But they were always very forgiving. And Zumbrun and Krauss write that effective writing instructors realize the impact of their own writing beliefs, experiences, and practices on the students. And Dorfman and Capelli's mentor texts, Teaching Writing Through Children's Literature, states that writing for ourselves and for our students will help improve our own confidence, competence, and self-esteem. And indeed, writing both privately for myself and modeling for the class of students helped me to develop my confidence. And it also helped me to instill in the students the idea that if their teacher can, and definitely does make mistakes and has to work in writing, then it's okay if they do too. So thank you to everyone who helped me throughout this experience, both here in Richmond and in Philly, and especially to students like these who are the reason and motivation behind all of it. I hope to continue to learn about issues in education and literacy, and like Cheryl, always be a mighty writer.